Hey everyone, I'm Styx. I'm a game developer and programmer, and you're watching my devlog series for Scorch's Return. I recently joined a team of individuals on this project as the primary programmer for gameplay. Now, before we get started on the actual devlog itself, I want to give you a very quick summary of the project. Scorch's Return is a Metroidvania in which you'll swap between 3 characters to fight and solve puzzles. Now, I initially started with what I'm most familiar with, making physics-based movement controllers. Pretty standard, there's not much special about it. It does have 2 movement modes, one for being grounded and one for being airborne, but that's the most special aspect to it, and that's only because sometimes you want them to behave differently. Once I can move around, I created our character swapper. It functions very simply. You'll just press the character's button, and this will trigger an associated event through the event manager, and then lower level systems can swap the character. Initially, I had 3 instances of my movement controller, one for each character. I quickly realized that I could clean it up by using scriptable objects and just switching the active object whenever I switch characters. Then it was time to build an asynchronous scene loader. These are very important for Metroidvanias because Metroidvanias have large, expansive worlds, but they're all connected into one large level. They aren't separate scenes with loadings between them. They are all connected to each other. I had a few ideas of how I could achieve this. At first, I thought I could load a scene whenever the player is near the entryway to that section of the world. However, that would have meant storing global triggers in a scene that would never unload, and I didn't want to do that. Instead, I decided to store references to neighboring scenes within each scene's level manager. Now, when you walk into a trigger space of a level manager, it will unload any scenes that are not neighboring with this level manager, and then it will load any scenes that are neighboring it, all asynchronously, of course. This way, we have a very smooth transition across the entire world that the player will never even notice. Now, I went back to my roots and I started working on the controller again. This time, I was adding unique movements. Each character has their own special, unique movement abilities. Scorch is fire-based. He's able to cast fire below him, allowing him to glide. He's also able to cast fire behind him, allowing him to dash forward. Talus, as you can see, is a very large character, making them able to charge a massive jump, allowing them to skyrocket themselves into the air. Kiwi, being so small on the other hand, is able to bounce around far easier than other characters, letting her not only jump off of walls, but also commit a jump mid-air. To build this system, I created an abstract movement ability class, which subscribes to the character swap event in the event manager. Then, each ability is a concrete implementation that is only active when the active character matches the serialized character on the ability. This way, I can easily add more abilities later on, if I so need. Now, it may be a little early to focus on visuals, but that's what we wanted to do. We knew that we wanted parallax layer backgrounds and foregrounds, so I got to work on that system. I have a parallax manager in each scene that, when the player enters the scene, will follow the camera's position exactly. It also has a serialized array of parallax layers. Each layer contains the logic to control the parallax itself. Each layer is 3 segments long to ensure that it can loop cleanly on both the left and the right. There's currently no vertical parallax, although depending on the shapes of the levels, that may be something to add later. Now, if you thought it was early to add a parallax system, then oh boy, this is not going to go well, because we've got a pause menu. Each button simply triggers an event in the event manager. Right now, we only have listeners for the resume button, as we don't have a settings menu or a main menu yet, but those events are being triggered. That's it for this first devlog. Ultimately, it's not the most interesting, but I promise it's only going to get more exciting from here. We just had to cover the bare essentials initially. So, if you'd like to keep updated on the development of the game, make sure to like and subscribe.